Hello world. Today in Read and Write Music Part 3 we are looking at major and minor scales. We're going to go on from there and we're going to be discussing things called key signatures, and we're also going to be discussing things called chords or triads. So the first thing that I've got here is a scale. It's the scale of C major. The word scale, I'm reliably informed, comes from the Latin word for ladder. If we look at it, it's got what we call some intervals in it. First of all, it's an octave. All right, I've done one octave. All right, an octave is simply the distance between one note and its next same note. All right, so every note can have an octave. So for example, this is B flat, right, and B flat an octave higher. All right, for example, C, middle C, which is what I've started on here, to top C, which I've ended on here. All right, and you can go an octave above, an octave below. A flat, an octave below. A flat. Okay, so that's it's just the distance between one note and its same note name, all right? People say it's 8 notes. It pretty much is. Now, looking at this scale in more detail, I'm going to use this sign here, or this sign, for a tone. And I'm going to use this sign, or that sign, for a semitone. All right, now referring back to part 1, a tone is the distance between one note, miss a note, so that's C. So if I miss a note, C sharp, the black note in between, to D. So C to D are a tone apart because there's a note in between that I've missed out. All right, whereas E to F here, there is no note in between. They're simply next door neighbours. So just refer back to the piano diagram that you did in part 1 as well, just to check these things, or look at a keyboard. C to D here are a tone apart. D to E, they are also a tone apart. E to F here are a semitone. And if we look, 1, 2, 3, note 3 and note 4, then are a semitone apart. All right, that's really useful to know where the semitones are apart, because in a major scale, notes 3 and 4 and notes 7 to 8 are a semitone apart. All the rest are tones. So we'll carry on looking. F to G, there's F sharp in between. So F to G, they are a tone apart. G to A are a tone apart. A to B, there's A sharp or B flat in between. They are a tone apart. But 7 and 8 here are a semitone apart. All right, so notes 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 are a semitone apart, okay? And as these are all white notes, that's what C major sounds like, but as they're all white notes on the piano or keyboard, there's no sharps or flats there, so we say that C major has a key signature of no sharps or flats. All right, we'll come on to key signatures again in just one moment when we look at the scale of G major. All right, now, copper treble clef there. Now I'm just going to be a bit awkward and I'm going to show you some ledger lines here. All right, this is middle C, as we know. All right, a note down is B. If I do another ledger line here, that's A. If I go down another ledger line here, that gives me G. And back in part 1, you learnt the phrase, all cows eat grass. for the notes in the spaces on the bass clef, right? This is grass. So in the bass clef, it would look like this. Okay? So, starting here then, this is G. A, B, right, so we've got tone here, that's a tone, right, the next one is also a tone, A to B, right, but we need to make sure that B to the next note are a semitone apart, right, B's next door neighbour, its very next door neighbour is C, right. So these are a semitone apart, and that's notes 3 and 4. All right. Now, C to D, they're a tone apart. D to E are a tone apart. Now watch, this is a bit sort of sneaky here. All right. We know that from our original C major, note 5 and 6 are a tone apart. Note 6 to 7 are a tone apart. But 7 and 8 are a semitone apart. So we have to make sure we get that here. All right. So this is note 5 to 6. They're a tone apart. 6 to 7 also have to be a tone apart then. All right, so to get a tone apart, if we just quickly draw our keyboard here, right, I'm just going to put some white note there, so E, that's E, all right, F, this one here, and is F sharp, all right, so E to F, if I were just to do an ordinary F here, that would only be a semitone, all right? But we're going to go to F sharp here, which is a tone. So we're not going to play E, F, we're going to play E, F sharp, all right? Then F sharp to G, here, that is a semitone apart. All right, so 3, 4, and 7 and 8 are those semitones that you have in a major scale. All right, so 3, 4, and 7 and 8 are a semitone apart. All the rest are tones. Because G major has an F sharp in the scale, if you see a piece of music such as Daisy Daisy, Daisy Daisy is in the key of G major because there is an F sharp in its key signature here. All right, you can see that Daisy Daisy has F sharp. It means every time you come across an F in this piece, you have to play F sharp instead. All right, we could write the scale of G major out by putting the key signature as well. So here is a treble clef. Again, we put the key signature, we put F sharp, and because of convention, we always use the top line, F. We don't use this one here. That's wrong. And I'll write out another octave of G major for you. And this time, I'm going to write it going down, just to G, F sharp, because of the key signature of F, E, D, C, B, A, G. All right, and even though we're going down here, we still, when we're counting the semitones, we still start at the bottom. So starting on this G here, 1, 2, 3 and 4, B and C, 5, 6, 7, F sharp to G. All right, so that's 3 and 4, and that is 7 and 8. All right, those are the semitones. All right, so G major has a key signature of F sharp. Right, and I'll show you all these key signatures again a bit later on in the video. All right, so starting on D to make D major. All right, now this time, D to E, they are a tone apart. All right, E to F are only a semitone apart. Okay, so it's just like up here, because notes 2 and 3, E to F, have to be a tone apart, we're going to make it F sharp. E to F sharp. F sharp to G. They are notes 3 and 4. So E to F sharp are a tone apart. 3 to 4 have to be a semitone apart. F sharp to G. A. G to A. They are a tone apart. A to B. They are a tone apart. B now needs to jump up another tone. All right, because here's 7 and 8. They need to be a semitone apart, and at the moment, C natural to D has got C sharp in between, so they're a tone apart, and I don't want that. They have to be a semitone apart. So I'm going to make the C sharp, okay, and then that also puts this bit here a tone apart. So B and C sharp are a tone apart. D, okay. So let's play the scale that I've written. Because F sharp and C sharp are in the scale of D major, at the beginning of a piece of music that is in the key of D major, just like Daisy Daisy was in the key of G major, we put the F sharp and C sharp in the key signature, and we put them in that order. All right, F sharp, C sharp. Just remember Father Christmas. Right, it's the beginning of another Every Good Boy Deserves Fruit style phrase. The first two sharps are F sharp, C sharp, Father Christmas. All right, it goes in that order. All right, in the bass clef, that would look like this. F sharp on the second line, C sharp in the 1, 2, third space. All right, so there, F sharp, C sharp. All right, and that's the key signature of D major. You will hear people say, oh, my song's in D, for example. That means D major, okay? Whenever they don't say major or minor, they mean major. All right, so this time I'm going to start on F, and I'm going to write out the scale of F major, and I can just call it F if I want to. All right, so here's my treble clef. Oh, shall I be annoying? I'll do it in the bass clef, just to be annoying to you. All right, F in the bass clef is here. All right, that's F. F to G, a tone apart. G to A, a tone apart. Right, I want 3, 4, and 7 and 8 to be a semitone apart. So here, A, that's note 3. I need a semitone apart, which is going to A sharp or B flat. Now, in F major, you've just got to remember that we don't call it A sharp, we call it B flat. Okay, it's just at the moment, it will appear very logical when you start to build up your knowledge of theory, but for the moment, just remember, we call it B flat. 3, and 4. They're my semitones. All right, now B flat then. I need a tone, so I need a note in between. So I'm going to miss out B, and I'm going to go to C. So those are a tone apart. C to D are a tone apart. D to E are a tone apart. E to F are a lovely semitone apart. They're next door neighbours. So 3, 4 and 7 and 8. So I'll play you that whole scale. Okay, listening to C major, G major, with F sharp in its key signature, D major with F sharp and C sharp, and F major with B flat in its key signature. Okay, so moving along, we're going to deal with some minor scales now. Every major scale has what is called a relative minor. That means a minor scale that has the same key signature. We'll do treble and bass clef key signatures here. All right, so treble clef here and bass clef here. All right, so C major has no sharps or flats. All right, now if I count up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm ending up on A. 2, E, F, G, A. All right, and that gives me the first note of my relative minor, which is A minor. All right, if I look at G major, we'll write out some minor scales in a moment, but just bear with me for a moment. C major, G major, I'm just going to put M-A-J, has F sharp in its key signature. All right, count up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up on E. So E minor, let's do it like this. E minor has F sharp in its key signature. In the bass clef, that looks like this. D major had F sharp and C sharp. Remember, Father Christmas. All right, and in the bass clef, that looks like this. All right, so that's D major, and counting up 6, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, that gives me B minor, is the minor scale that has the same key signature. And the last one we had was F major, which has B flat in its key signature. Counting up 6, F, G, A, that's 3, B flat, that's 4, C, that's 5, D, that's 6. So D minor is the key signature of B flat. All right, we'll have a look at writing out some scales with these. Looking at A minor to start with. All right, A minor. There are 2 types of minor scale. There's a harmonic scale and there's also a melodic scale. In the old-fashioned theory exams that I used to have to do as a child, we didn't get to melodic minors until about grade 5 or 6. All right, so we're just going to stick with harmonic scales here. The semitone tone pattern in a minor scale is different from major scales. In major scales, we wanted semitones between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. In minor scales, we want the semitones to come between notes 2 and 3, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. So those are our semitones. Starting on A, and again, I'm going to be awkward and use a ledger line here. A, that's the A below middle C. B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Because A minor has the same key signature as C major, does it not? Right, well, yeah, that's fine, but the semitones in a harmonic minor scale come between 2, 3, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So let's just have a wee look. All right, A to B, that's a tone. B to C, that's a semitone, and those are notes 2 and 3. C to D, that's a tone. D to E, that's another tone. E to F is a semitone. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5. And 5 and 6 are a semitone. So those are all good so far. But between 7 and 8, we have not got a semitone at all. At the moment, it's a tone. All right, so what we do is we just simply raise the 7th note by a semitone to make that tone between 7 and 8. All right, so we actually play a G sharp, but that G sharp doesn't go into the key signature. All right, you just have to remember that in A minor, you have to raise that 7th note by one semitone so that you get the semitones between 2 and 3, 5 and 6, and 7 and 8. All right, and that sounds like this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, A. And coming down. Okay, so that's your harmonic minor. If we do E minor, which is the relative minor of G, again, let's pop in a clef. We'll put in our key signature so that now all of these Fs are going to be sharp. All right, starting on E, E minor, we can just put M for minor. All right, if you say E, that means E major. If you say EM, that means E minor. E to F sharp, that's a tone apart. All right, we want 2, 3, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. So 2 to 3, that's a semitone. 4, 3 to 4, that's a tone. 4 to 5, another tone here. But 5 to 6, B to C, they're next door neighbours. So they're a semitone. All right, now D and E, once again, we have this tone here, which needs to be made into a semitone by raising the 7th note. So E minor sounds like this. And just remember that D sharp does not go in the key signature. When you're playing a piece that's in E minor, you will come across some Ds that are D sharp. Okay? So the key signature of E minor is F sharp. So D major, or its relative minor scale, is B minor. So we'll write that out. Okay? B minor. Okay. Starting on B, we'll do the bass clef this time just to be awkward. Okay, it's got the same key signature as D, so I'm going to put in F sharp and C sharp at the beginning. Start on B, C sharp, because C sharp here, B, C sharp, D, C sharp to D, and next door neighbours, they're semitones. D to E, tones apart. E to F sharp, because F sharp, they are a tone apart. F sharp to G, this is 5 and 6, they're a semitone apart. A to B are a tone apart, raise the 7th to make them a semitone apart. And that makes and again, that A sharp does not go in the key signature. We'll look at F major, it's relative minor, F, G, A, B, C, D, so note number 6, D minor. Same key signature as F major, B flat, D, E, F, notes 2 and 3 are a semitone apart, G, A, B flat, because of the key signature, B flat to C, that's a tone apart. So hold on, we want 5 and 6 to be a semitone apart. Right, so hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A to B flat are a semitone apart. B flat to C are a tone apart. C to D, at the moment they're a tone apart. I need to raise that 7th to C sharp. Okay, and once again, we don't call it D flat, we call it C sharp, because we're actually raising the 7th note. Okay, so 7 and 8 are a semitone apart as well. All right, so those are our major and minor scales. All right, just learn them. That's not all of the major and minor scales. There are major and minor scales based on every single note of the scale. So you could even have A flat major or E flat minor, for example. All right, and if you are someone who works in a pit and you've got a ton of coal on top of you, you are A flat minor. That's a joke. So we're going to have a look at some chords now. We're going to go back to this scale of C. And we're going to work out what chords we have based on every single note. Now, there's another word that we can use called triads. Okay, a triad is just not a member of the mafia. It's just a chord with 3 notes in it that are based on a particular scale. All right, and I'm going to be using the abbreviations, i.e. no major or minor description means it's major, and M means minor. Okay, M means minor. I'm going to number these notes, all right, and I'm going to number them. They're normally numbered based on Roman numerals. So that's called 1, this is called 2, this is called 3, this is called 4, this is called 5, this is called 6, this is called 7, and this is called 1, again, because it's still based on the key of, on the scale of C major. I'll show you what I mean. C, miss the next note of the scale. I'm not talking about the piano now, okay? Because missing the next note would really be sort of thinking C, C sharp, D. We're not. We're thinking about the notes in this scale now, all right? So C, C, E, G. That is called 1, okay? In the key of C major, it is called C, which is just C major. All right, I'll write it above that line actually. This is chord 1 in the key of C major, based on C, and it is called just C major. All right, if I do the same thing starting on D, D, miss a note, gets to F, miss another note, gets to A, put them on top of one another, like this. That's a chord of D minor. Why is it not D major? Well, because in D major, we have a key signature of F sharp and C sharp, which means that the note F, natural, a normal F, does not come in the scale of C major. So this is D minor. And D minor has B flat in its key signature, and we haven't got a note B here or B flat here, but D, F, A do come in the scale of D minor. All right. Again, E, G, and B. Starting on E, missing a note, G, B. That is E minor. It's not E major. E major, we don't know this yet, but E major has a G sharp in its key signature, and so it's not E major, it's E minor. F, A, C, this is chord 4, all right, F, A, C, and that's just a chord of F, because it comes in the scale of F major. G, B, D. That's a chord of G, G major. A, C, E. Well, C comes in the scale of A minor. So that's a chord of A minor. B, D, F. All right. Now, B minor has F sharp in it. So it's not B minor. B major has a whole ton of sharps in it, so it's not B major. All right. The 7th chord is just what we call a diminished chord. All right, and we just put B dim there. You'll sometimes see a minus sign next to a chord like that as well, but don't worry about that one. All right, that one there, I'm just gonna put a brackets around it or something just to say don't worry too much about that chord. All right. At the moment, it's not that important to us, all right? And then chord 1 is C, E, G, all right? Again, C, E, G, all right? So that's chord 1, which again is C major, all right? Now, when you see notes piled up on top of each other like that, it doesn't take a genius to work out that these are all going to be played together, all right? So in the first chord, the chord of C, we've got C, E, G. It's C major. D minor, D, F, A. And can you see how much sadder it sounds? E minor, E, G, B. F major, F, A, C. G major, G, B, D. A minor. Very sad. And B, diminished, right, and C. You will see on sheet music, you will see instructions to play chords like that. They're usually written for guitarists. This is an extract from a piece called U.N.I by Ed Sheeran. This is the vocal line here, and starts with a treble clef, B flat, which means we're in the key of F major. We've got 4/4 here, telling us that that's our time signature. Refer back to part 2 of this series for that. And then we've got this F here. It's even showing you that that is the pattern for the guitarist to play. All right, but you can use that on the piano, because now we know that the chord of F has an F, an A, and a C in it. All right, so here's the melody. Those are the first three notes of the melody. All right, so if I put F, A, and C in my left hand, I've got an instant accompaniment. And those are the first two bars of that piece. You get the idea. So you can use those chord signs as symbols, which means that actually it makes sense to learn as many of them as you can. So my homework for you, if I was going to set any, if I was a mean teacher, the homework that I'd set for you would be to go back to all of the scales that we've learnt and build on them chords. And just as the semitones have the same kind of pattern in all the major scales, the semitones are 3 and 4, 7 and 8. In the minor scales, it's 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 and 8, where the semitones come. You will find that the chords are always, in a major scale, the chords are major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then back to major, right? Just as they are in C major, all right? I will just illustrate to you just one more thing then, is that if we were to build chords starting on A minor, A minor, A minor, let's just do it, shall we? A, C, E, B, D, F. That's the same as chord 7 in C, so that's going to be a diminished chord, right? C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G sharp, because of that raised seventh, B, D. In fact, actually, you've got a raised seventh here as well. Because this is harmonic, I'll just put harmonic here. A, C, E. So that's chord 1 again. So chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, chord 7, and chord 1 again. All right? So A minor, B diminished, because BDF is exactly the same as that chord we had earlier. C, D minor, D, F, A, again, because it's the same as we've had before. E, G sharp, B. This time it's actually E major, all right. F, A, C. In A minor, that is a major chord, therefore chord 6 is major. Chord 7 is diminished again. So this is G sharp diminished. And then we're back to chord 8 or chord 1, as it were, being A minor. All right? So in a minor scale, it's minor, diminished, major, minor, major, major, diminished, minor. All right? So you can learn that pattern. But the important things to remember about any scale and the chords based on them is that the really important ones, and I'm going to change colour for this, the ones to really learn are chord 1. Chord 2 is useful. All right, chords 4, 5 and 6. They are the most useful ones of any key. And I would encourage you to look back at the scales that we have done today and work out the note names of the chords that are based on each of those notes. All right, so in D major, chord 1 would be D. Chord 2 would be E minor. Chord 4, because that's a really important one, is G. Chord 5, which is a really important one, is A. And chord 6, B minor, i.e. the relative minor, is also very important. All right. When we're in a minor scale, chord 2 becomes less important, but obviously chord 1, that's very important. Chord 4 is really important. Chord 5, either with the raised 7th or without it, okay? Because the melodic minor that I mentioned earlier on, but which we haven't done today, has a natural in it. So let's just put, so an E minor there. Okay, so that's actually sort of very important. And chord 6, F. All right, those are the important chords there. All right, and you can make loads of songs based on those. All right, in fact, really, one of the most tried and tested chord progressions that we have based on 1, 6, 4, 5. C, A minor, F and G. A minor, F, G. A minor, F, G. C, A minor, F and G. And once you can recognise that, and you'll recognise it in lots of different keys, then you'll find that that is, particularly for a lot of songs in the 50s and 60s, they have that key, that chord progression going all the way through songs like Blue Moon, and another one which I like, which is called Duke of Earl, which I'll play in D. Duke, 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 Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of D. B minor, G, A. 1, 6, 4, 5. And you can just find loads and loads and loads of examples like that. So once you've got those basic tools, you can do anything. What can you do? Anything. And this is where I'll stop, because I'm aware that I've prattled on for a long time. See you later. Bye-bye.